This is a video response to Nolinquisitor and Sameoldji about some things they've been talking about, which are things that, I often talk about on my channel. And this video response is coming to you live from Narnia. How's about that? What they were talking about was the spectrum of collaboration in a game. And a word that Sameoldji used for this was transparency. On one end of the spectrum, where the game master is responsible for, I guess, is the ultimate authority for what does and does not exist, let's put it that way. So, minimal collaboration. There's surprise, and there's virtually no transparency. If you want to know what's going on, you have to discover it in character. To the other end of the spectrum, where the group is the authority for what does and doesn't happen, and there are pockets of surprise around the table, but because everyone is responsible for generating elements of the game and its environment, then you really cannot be put in a situation where you are pushed to the limit, where you're challenged or tested, because you can insert something into the narrative, which is why you and your compatriots, the other characters, are able to escape, overcome, solve the mystery, whatever. Well, yes, this is a well-established spectrum of play, and the focus really isn't so much on transparency, and the focus really isn't so much about how much collaboration you get as a player. From my perspective, it's a question of perspective. In a situation where the game master has that responsibility and authority, where the players are discovering everything in play, what's going on is that they are being given the opportunity to explore a character. Whereas, in the situation where everybody has that responsibility and authority, what you're being given is an opportunity to explore a story. These are not, by any stretch of the imagination, the same thing. And this is really the core difference between games like Call of Cthulhu and Trail of Cthulhu. On the surface, you could say, well, they're just, the same game with two different systems. But system matters, and how it matters in this case is that in Call of Cthulhu, as Sameoldji mentioned, your characters are in the dark. They have to discover things. They have the risk of not discovering things, and the story will ebb and flow and change and evolve based on what they do and do not succeed in, how they handle their challenges. It's about their characters in that situation, and sometimes that situation might be abject failure. Most of the time, that can be more interesting. Trail of Cthulhu, on the other hand, presupposes a certain amount of success in every scene. You will not suffer the fate of not gathering enough information, or you will not suffer the fate of not being able to keep the story moving forward. You can still mess up the story, you can still fail, but you fail in a completely different way. You fail in the overarching concept of a story, not in that personal term of the character in an open environment. You choose to play in these different ways once you know about these different ways, basically by the type of experience you want to have. Do you and your group want to sit down and create a style of story? Or do you as a group of players want to sit down and explore a character? Things like surprise and the sense of discovery or exploration, these come from a game experience based in exploration of character. The other, the ability to collaborate and contribute together as a group toward a shared project, well, that's the focus on the story. Now, a group, if it knows what it's doing, if it tries hard enough, you can run any game in any style, any role-playing game, or approximating one of these styles. Some games will help you out. Some games will actually try to enforce it. Right? They will penalize you for not doing certain things, or they will empower you for doing certain things. They encourage a certain style of play. And if you go counter to that, your play experience will feel like you're running counter to that. Your characters don't operate like you'd expect, or the story doesn't move like you'd expect, or certain challenges don't come up like you'd expect, that sort of thing. But yeah, you can run things in different ways, but system matters. As a player, I like to explore character. That's why I'm creating a character. I'm not really that interested in participating with others to create a story. I'm interested in exploring the interactions, the relationships, the surprise, the discovery of a setting. And so I tend to go toward groups and games that have a similar outlook. I have enjoyed a more story-oriented form of play, but I'm often left feeling like we could just strip the game away, strip the system away, and just discuss what we think should happen. This isn't always the case, and there are some systems where that would be a shame, because it's just engaging that system is fun, but that's part of the reason why I personally get less enjoyment from that style of play. I do like my players to collaborate with me. I do like them to contribute details and participate, to help create, to help color the world. And I expect them to be able to know the difference between what is a scene-breaking contribution and what is a character or scene-enhancing contribution. Right? Because the other players around the table are also exploring your character, and the details you bring in bring your character to life, bring that scene to life because your character's in it, rather than the kind of game where your collaboration adds doors where there weren't described doors, or brings in NPCs that have the answer to the riddle, that kind of thing. And that's a very simple and shallow way to put it, but for the terms of a video, it'll have to do. Anyway, interesting question. I hope this contribution added something. Managing collaboration is an ongoing process, and every group that you join, or each new player that you join, this collaborative, practice starts again. So it's really not something that you can ever step away from. And I've found that a lot of the trouble that arises in groups often has its source in how much freedom, or what the focus is, character versus story, is supposed to be.